It's another episode of Saul FRAZER's Biz Chat, a podcast series where we talk about enterprises, limited liability companies, and all sorts of companies per se, but focusing predominantly on startups, the life of entrepreneurs, and how you should stay, what do you say again, afloat, keeping your heads above water and try to survive the critical parts of your business. You wouldn't know how difficult it really is unless you start. You see a lot of success stories, but the stories they leave behind is probably the hardest ones. And in this podcast, we'll try to talk about the good side, but also the bad sides and pitfalls that you should probably avoid in making your business a successful one. It is said so many times, that no man is an island, and you need probably a good network to be able to build your net worth. As the saying goes, your network is your net worth. So there are different definitions of what networking is. But for me, it's as simple as trying to engage as many people as possible and trying to gain positive feedbacks on what you're doing and guidance and help in whatever you want to do. So networking in essence is just not trying to do anything by yourself, but either through a group of people, group of friends, group of family members, group of customers, potential stakeholders that you can find beneficial for your business. And the whole idea is to be out there as much as you can, share ideas, listen to what they have to say, learn from them, and take positive impact from their stories. Learn about areas that they've made mistakes on, which you will try to avoid. So in a sense, it's just another way of improving yourself and improving whatever you do by listening to others and learning from their experiences. Had I known the importance of networking during my first years of business, my business would have probably thrived better than what it did. But in the first 5 years, I was just running solo, trying to do everything by myself and trying to engage others as little as possible, which was a great mistake looking at it now, because since I started networking, starting to put myself out there, mingling with people, sharing ideas, I've seen the growth on myself, but also on the business that I'm doing. It's extremely important because most of the time you think that you know it all or you've been there and done that. But the moment you start speaking to other people, it's when you realize that you actually know nothing. And there's a lot to learn because experiences are different, conditions are different. So it's important to probably network with people that know more than you do. As the old saying goes, if you're the most clever person in a particular network or group, you should leave that group and join another group where you have a lot to learn. But most often than not, we tend to be comfortable within a zone that maybe we can flex a little bit and show our strengths among others. But are you learning anything from that particular group? So your best bet is to keep upping the game, trying to meet up with successful entrepreneurs, people that have amazing stories to share, and you can learn a thing or two. The biggest mistake one can do when networking is not having the listening skills. It's not important to always speak, but extremely important to be able to be a good listener and listen for the key points that you might take away. But most often than not, when we're having conversation with people that we can learn a lot from, is we tend to just listen so we can ask the next question and the next question and next question, but rather than listening to the key points that can lead to very good conversations. I remember in the early stages of when I started networking, I didn't master the game very well. And for me, it was more of going out there and talking about my success stories and basically boosting my ego and talking about all the good things that I was doing and whatnot. At the end of the conversation, at the end of the networking, you realize that you have very little to take away because you were doing the talking all the time instead of the listening. So when I mastered it and then reversed the situation and started to listen more and more, it became much more meaningful and much more stuff to take home with and digest and see how to implement it in my existing businesses. So it's super important to be able to listen. Not saying that you should just go and sit and listen all the time and not say a word or two, but you'll probably listen. You have to listen probably 60 to 70%, and then maybe speak 30% if that's permissible. But remember to always listen and learn, then share your own experience when asked. Whether we like it or not, or whether we realize it or not, networking pretty much has to do with building relationships. And again, in relation to sales, we know that once a relationship is established, then everything becomes easier. I remember when I was working at Access Bank. Funny enough, I had my key customers or the accounts, the clients of the accounts of the key clients that I was managing. I went to the extent of knowing their birthdays, the school that the kids went to, the kids' birthdays, and whatnot, because this was going to help me to build a stronger relationship. So I would buy as little as just birthday cards, not even spend expensive money or anything. But remembering these days, their anniversaries, enabled me to build a stronger relationship with these accounts that were so important to me. For anyone that is working in a bank, you know that building your portfolio or making sure that your deposits are high, you must be able to get as many big accounts as possible so that it boosts up your portfolio and also make you seem as you're doing great for the bank. And for me, I always went the extra mile. If I know that this account is of importance to me, that can enable me to stack millions into the account, I'll go the extra mile. And yes, I would do those things. I'll note down the hobbies, the things that they like, the things that they don't like, the kids, and everything. And you will even see me going to the kids' birthdays and spending some extra time with them just to build that strong relationship. And it worked. It worked because up to today, believe it or not, even 17 years after I've left the bank, I still have good relation with these people, and they still look after me by referring customers to me and whatnot. But building a network or building a relationship doesn't just stop at the networking place. I think it's important to have a relationship of some sort. Be there for one another if you can, and remember the important dates for these particular people. They're people that love birthdays, and a small gesture can just leave an everlasting impact in their lives. So if the network is important to you, spend extra, I wouldn't say extra money, but dedicate extra time and show that you really, really care, because then it will become a normality for them to do the things that you want them to do. That reminds me of a quote that says that by giving people everything that they want, in return, you will also get what you want. So by giving them attention, giving them time, when they have funds to deposit, they're likely to come and deposit it with you rather than taking it to another bank. So it's just another way of giving and taking, but once you show care and consideration, hey, you got them. One of the key questions that you're going to ask yourself is, when do you actually start to network? Knowing what I know now, I would say as soon as possible. As soon as possible. Whether you're in a business or not, whether you're planning to get into a business, or whether the ideas are not really cooked well, network. But network meaningfully as well, not to just sit campevi, drinking attires and playing draft. Those things can be useful sometimes, but you ask yourself, what are you taking away from these gatherings? For me, it's always important to know that, look, if I spend this amount of time in a particular area, in a particular place, it has to be worth something other than just being entertained. Yes, we all need to be entertained. We need to relax and chill every now and then. But let it not be a habit that we should be doing, rather than spending the time on more useful networking, either events or gatherings and whatnot. So the earlier you start, the better. One of the ways to prepare yourself for networking is to have a clear idea of what is it that you want to get out there. If it is your business, you should be able to introduce your business within seconds. If it is to catch someone's attention, you should be able to have that, what do you call it? Is it a statement or something that would intrigue people to want to listen more, rather than just talking about the history of the business, this and that, and so many things. But again, I understand that most of these topics of discussions or what you're going to be talking about will depend on how the conversation goes. But it's important that you know your stuff. You know your stuff, like from the bottom of your heart, to know exactly the products that you have for sale, the services, what problem are you solving, how is it going to be beneficial to the people that you're networking with, if you're looking to raise funds, if you're looking to get investors, or just having other ideas how to ask the right questions and to listen attentively. So once these are clear to you, you wouldn't be surprised if someone asks a question, or you wouldn't be surprised if a topic comes through that that you can just go, you can basically, what's the word again? You can just swim through it with ease, right? But if you don't prepare yourself and not know what to talk about or how to talk about these things, then it won't be beneficial, or it won't be as effective as if you were to do your homework and just get ready for what questions may come. When approaching anybody for networking, it's important that you don't overwhelm the person. I think you should start as simple as possible by just introducing yourself and what you do, and wait for response. If you haven't gotten any, maybe try again. But in principle, I don't think you should approach the person more than 3 times. It can be a case of just the person isn't interested. But just like one person is interested, I'm sure you can find so many others that can be interested in networking with you. So take your time, reach out to as many as possible, knowing that some of them are going to reject you. And once they do, then you have the others to rely on. But rejections are sometimes not even personal. I think most of the time rejections are not personal. It could be because they are busy, or they have something else going on, or they're occupied with so many other things. So never take it personal. Never take it as, I don't know. Just never take it personal, because it could be for so many other reasons. And like I said, there's so many other people that you can network with. So if one says no, move on to another one. If that person says no again, just keep moving until you find the right one. After more than 20 years in business, I couldn't emphasize the importance of networking. It just gives you that extra edge, gives you the opportunity to keep learning and keep developing yourself from other success stories, but equally to know what to avoid through learning the failures of others. So keep networking out there, because remember, your network is your net worth. Thank you.